There is a certain clarity that comes from using a camera long enough to learn not just how it works, but how it sees. My Nikon 1V1 is like that for me now. A small, simple tool that has taught me to see in contrast and to trust that 10 megapixels is not a limitation, but a frame. It's enough space for what I actually want to say with an image. I don't print billboards, I don't crop to the molecular level. I make pictures, and for that, it's complete. And yet that clarity also reveals absence. The V1 has no flash. In its silence, I found myself missing the blunt, honest report of a pop of light from my old Canon G12. It was a functional nostalgia, a memory tied not to sentiment, but to a missing tool. That feeling led me to borrow my sister's camera, the Canon 200D. Holding it felt like a different kind of return. It also made me reflect on a camera I once owned but no longer do, the Pentax K1. Selling the K1 wasn't about dislike, it was about necessity. I needed the money, but in the space after it was gone, I had time to think about proportionality. It was a magnificent camera, 36 megapixels of detail, a fortress of features, but its weight wasn't just in grams, it was in expectation. Owning a flagship can feel like an entitlement to masterpieces, which is a heavy, often paralyzing burden. More profoundly, I've come to realize those 36 megapixels and labyrinthine features were simply too much for me. They were capabilities in search of a need I never had. I remember the practical burden too. Managing 30 to 40 megabyte raw files from a single shot was a core for my computer and my workflow. That experience alone helped convince me that 10 megapixels is frankly enough. Letting the K1 go was an admission. My ambition as a photographer isn't measured in megapixels or dynamic range, but in consistency, in understanding a single tool deeply. The 200D, humble and direct, brought that lesson into focus. And yet, I still wish I had not sold that K1. It's an honest contradiction. I don't regret the lesson, but I miss the tool. The feeling isn't about specs anymore. It's about the particular way that camera felt in my hands, the specific color of its viewfinder, the solid clicks of its shutter. Part of me will always wonder about the pictures we didn't get to make together. I've been spending some time with my sister's Canon 200D. After using it, I think it's just a regular, good enough camera, and I mean that in the best way possible. This camera was pretty hyped among entry-level YouTubers a few years back. This was when 1080p Full HD video at 60 frames per second was a big deal, and the 200D had that. It also had a very angled touchscreen, which felt very modern for a DSLR at the time. Today, the conversation is completely different. Everyone seems to be crazy about the best 4K video camera, as if we all suddenly become professional cinema filmmakers. My experience with it wasn't flawless. I think I messed up the brightness on the camera screen, which led me to underexposing a lot of the shots. It's a reminder that every tool has its own language and you have to learn how it tells you the truth. I've always loved using a hard direct flash with these entry-level DSLRs. There is something about the look it gives. It's raw and honest. The 200D had a decent pop-up flash for that. As for the video quality, it's okay, it's perfectly fine. I still think my Nikon 1 V1's video quality is good enough for my standards, and this is an APS-C camera with a 24.2 megapixel sensor. The 200D's 1080p video is certainly a step up from my Nikon 1 V1 from that, with cleaner detail and better performance in lower light thanks to that larger sensor. It's also incredibly light for a DSLR, one of the smallest and lightest Canon ever made with an APS-C sensor. It uses the older DGX7 processor, which isn't the fastest by today's standard, but it gets the job done for casual shooting. The autofocus in live view uses Canon's dual-pixel CMOS autofocus, which is smooth and reliable for both photos and video, a feature that trickled down from their higher-end models. And that really sums up the Canon 200D. It's probably one of the best all-rounder DSLRs you can buy, especially if you find one used. It takes very good 24 megapixel stills, and its 1080p video is completely capable. It doesn't excel in any one area in a spectacular way, obviously, but it doesn't fail in any area either. It's balanced. It's a tool that gets the job done without fuss, which is something that gets forgotten when everyone is chasing the latest spec shit. Sometimes a regular, good enough camera that covers all the basics well is exactly what you need. So this experience has planted a seed of an idea. What if I stopped sampling different tools and committed to learning one language fluently? I'm starting to think 2026 should be my year of the DSLR. Not as a rejection of mirrorless or compacts, but as a deliberate embrace of constraint. The goal wouldn't be to own the best DSLR, but to choose one, maybe an old, used, good enough model, and use it exclusively to understand its rhythm, its voice, its flaws, to hit its limits and have to solve problems, not with a new setting or a better body, but with my own eyes and feet. To let the limitations of the tool define the boundaries of the project, and within those boundaries, find a deeper kind of creativity. It will be an experiment in a relationship, not in a gear. Year-long conversation with a single machine. What would I learn about photography when variable of the camera is removed? What would I learn about myself? What do you think? Is there value in that kind of deep monogamous dive with our gear? I have a few models in mind, but I'd love to hear from you. Any DSLR recommendations? Old, overlooked, or just plain sensible? What would you pick to spend a year with? I guess I'll see you in the next video. Au revoir.